Hello, thank you everyone for joining us today for our presentation in our connectivity webinar series on NFTs for luxury brands, temporary trend or investment piece. We'll let you make the decision following our presentation. I'm joined here today by my esteemed partner, Mercedes Tunstall, who is going to share with you her deep knowledge of the NFT space from the financial and regulatory side. And I will be covering issues more specific to luxury brands and intellectual property. So we're going to give just a couple of minutes for people to join because we're thrilled that we had such a high number of RSVPs today. So if you guys want to get a drink of water, take a stretching break, we'll be here and we'll be back shortly. Okay, well, I think we're going to get started. Thank you everyone again who's joined us today. In case you were not at the beginning, my name is Melanie Howard. I'm a partner in our Advanced Media and Technology Department, and I chair the Intellectual Property Group as well as the Luxury Brands Group. And I'm joined here today by my partner, Mercedes Tunstall, who's a partner in our advertising group as well, and the chair of our financial group. So she's going to provide you with some expertise in the regulatory and financial side of NFTs, and I will contribute from the luxury brand side and layer in some intellectual property tidbits for you today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Mercedes, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself while I figure out why the slides aren't advancing.
Sure. So the part of the discussion that I'll be doing today is to talk about the technology underlying NFTs and talk a little bit about some of the burgeoning law that we have around NFTs. There really hasn't been a lot that has developed. And so far, the regulators in the United States have been pretty hands-off with respect to NFTs. That is not to say that they have been ignoring it, and we have continued to see some developments with regulatory attention to cryptocurrency, which is part of NFTs. But it looks like we got our slides moving, so I'm going to pass it back over.
So this is just a little bit of housekeeping. Anybody who wants to request continuing legal education credit, you should have a sign-in sheet and evaluation form that have been emailed to you. So if you can fill those out, and you should just follow the instructions for submitting them back. We'll be giving you a CLE code midway through the presentation that you'll need to write down and enter on your CLE sign-in sheet. And if you have any questions about that following the presentation, feel free to just email us back. We want to make sure that you get your credit. Okay, back to you, Mercedes.
Okay, so what you see here are a couple of things. So the mosaic image that you see in the back is this is Beeple's NFT. And what he did to create this mosaic is to take the images and content that was stored in a whole bunch of other NFTs and then put them together. And Beeple was able to sell his NFT. It did come with a computer and a screen to display the NFT on, but he was able to sell the NFT for $69 million at auction by Christie's. So that's kind of what kicked off our present NFT craze. But prior to that, NFTs have basically been around since 2017. There was a game called Crypto Kitties where you could get these little kitties and breed them, and then they would create new little kitties. And that was all done by NFTs. That group of people were so enthusiastic at one point in 2017 that they caused the Ethereum blockchain to basically stop for a bit. And so this other image that you see on this slide is these are a more advanced version of CryptoKitties, but still kind of you can get NFTs that you breed with other NFTs to create rare or not so rare NFTs, and that continues to be some of what happens in the NFT economy so far. Okay, so this is Top Shots. The NBA did set up its own NFT platform, and they created, they worked with some NFT companies to support an NFT platform. So it was not actually the NBA that created the platform. And they licensed over a variety of different images and clips of games for that particular platform. And Top Shots has been very successful. Folks can go in and buy the NFTs there. They cannot take the NFTs that they buy, the Top Shots that they buy, and move it over to any other kind of NFT marketplace. So it's a closed marketplace. And the Top Shots NFT marketplace has been very successful and generated a lot of money and interest in NFTs.
So fashion has now entered the NFT marketplace in addition to sports and gaming, which were earlier entrants. And we're going to go through some examples in detail, but just wanted to show here kind of some of the types of luxury end and higher fashion NFTs that have been available. You'll see here the first NFT watch, which sold for $100,000. In the middle is someone wearing one of the NFT dresses that was purchased for the cost of $9,500. Again, this dress can only be worn digitally. It doesn't have an in real life counterpart to it. And then another sneaker design. It's really big in the shoe space and sneakers in particular to have NFTs and drops that accompany in real life. And I think the collectability of sneakers generally is just a good example to think through why NFTs are so popular right now. For many who collect sneakers, they're never wearing the sneaker. They might, but many of them just have a collection of sneakers that they'll have in a closet or a showcase, and then they may sell them later on when they gain value. And it is all about the rarity, the exclusivity, the drop, which you have to know about where to go and how to get it. And so that's been easily replicated in the NFT space. So that's one example that we'll go through, but it's moving quickly to multi-million-dollar sales. Here's Dolce & Gabbana's 9-piece NFT collection that they came out with this year. And so far, if my numbers are correct, they're up to, several $1 million in sales already. And in fact, several of these, including the suit on the left and the dress pictured in center, have been referred to as some of the most difficult NFTs to create to date. So fashion is taking NFT by storm currently, and we're going to go through a couple of reasons why it's so crazy, why it's so exciting, and what the opportunities are for luxury brands in the NFT space. So we just wanted to kind of give you a teaser at the beginning, but we're going to take a step back and we're going to make sure that we're all working with the same vocabulary. And Mercedes is going to briefly run through just a few basics about NFTs so that we all understand kind of what comprises an NFT, how you make an NFT, and where you can market, sell, advertise, and purchase one.
Okay, so first let's break down the title, the name, non-fungible token. So the token piece refers to a unit of currency, a unit of cryptocurrency, and it is a reference to the blockchain, and the token aspect of the non-fungible token is what allows the non-fungible token to live on the blockchain. So that's the meaning of token. Non-fungible means unique. Okay, so fungible, if we're thinking about cryptocurrency, for example. So if I give Melanie a Bitcoin and she gives me a Bitcoin, and then we trade those Bitcoins again, we both have a Bitcoin. No matter what we do, it's going to be, there's no distinction between the Bitcoin that Melanie has and the one that I have. However, if Melanie has a Dolce & Gabbana NFT and then she trades it with the $100,000 watch NFT with me, those are very different NFTs, right? Those are very different things. And so non-fungible literally refers to the fact that NFTs are unique assets that do not have one-to-one value with other NFTs. Okay, so when we think about what an NFT is, these are the components of an NFT. So at the base of a non-fungible token, as I referenced, is some kind of cryptocurrency. So it often is Ethereum. And the reason that it often is Ethereum, the cryptocurrency Ethereum, is because Ethereum was specifically designed to have a token standard that allows a digital file to be added on top of the cryptocurrency. So, and that is called the ERC21 token standard, if you want to, get technical there. And so you have cryptocurrency at the base, then you have a digital asset file. So this file can be an image, it can be a video, it can be a WAV file, any kind of digital content. Often, however, the digital asset file in an NFT consists of a link to content that is stored elsewhere. So that's often what you'll find in an NFT. And then layered into the NFT are a series of smart contracts. So we'll talk about smart contracts a little bit more in depth. But when you mint an NFT, you take a piece of cryptocurrency, so some ether, right? Then you add in the digital asset file, smart contracts, and then you go through a process of minting all of these things together, so it becomes a whole. And at that point, that ether is no longer ether, and it can never be ether again. It has converted over to a non-fungible token. Okay, so we can go to the next slide. So cryptocurrency, so I mentioned Ethereum, that is a kind of cryptocurrency. Of course, the granddaddy, which seems very strange to talk about because it's not even a decade old yet. Actually, yeah, not even a decade old, maybe close to a decade. And that's Bitcoin. So granddaddy cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. But there is Ethereum as a cryptocurrency. The Top Shots platform uses a customized cryptocurrency called Flow to support non-fungible tokens. And basically, so what about cryptocurrency is that you've got a blockchain software supporting the transactions of these crypto assets. So if we go to the next slide. Okay, so blockchain. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. If you want more information about blockchain technology and how it works, we can definitely talk about that at another point. But basically, so blockchain is a software. It's a kind of software. And this software consists of blocks of data that move along in a chain. So each time a block of data is transmitted to someone else, then there is a record. So integral part of blockchain software is a ledger that keeps track of the movement of each block of data. So the Bitcoin blockchain software, if you've got Bitcoin 1, 2, 3, then when that moves, when it gets traded to the next person, the Bitcoin blockchain software will show Bitcoin 1, 2, 3 changed hands, and you'll be able to see that on the public ledgers. So when someone wants to exchange Bitcoins or NFTs for that matter, then what happens is they say, okay, I'm ready to trade this NFT. So I would say, okay, I have an NFT. And so this NFT has a public address that you can view on the Ethereum blockchain, software. So it has a public address. I have a private key. This private key is like a one-time password. And when I combine my private key with the public key, then the Ethereum blockchain software will say, okay, so where do you want to send it? Okay. Then I have a crypto wallet address that I want to send this NFT to, and I submit that to the Ethereum blockchain. At that point, the Ethereum blockchain software sends out this transaction to all of the computers around the world that are running the Ethereum blockchain software. And all of the computers around the world solve the same, it's basically a math problem, solve the same math problem, and then report back, here's the solution to that math problem. And that is the validation process for confirming a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency transaction or an NFT transaction. So the network of nodes validates the transaction, and then that NFT changes hands. When the recipient of the NFT goes to, confirm that they received the NFT, at that point, they have a new private key that they can hold on to. And my private key no longer works because it truly is like a one-time passcode. And the Ethereum blockchain ledger is updated to show that this NFT did change hands. So this whole process means that blockchain software itself is incredibly secure. It's actually it is the most secure way of transacting that we have. However, when you hear that there has been some kind of hacking, that somebody has had their crypto wallet stolen or something like that, what that means is it's not that the blockchain software was hacked. It means that that private key, which is a series of 26 to 64 characters, that private key was not stored in a secure manner, and someone was able to get that private key, combine it with the public key, and then abscond with the crypto asset. So if we go to the next slide.
So Mercedes, we have a quick question here.
Sure.
Someone's asking if some of the computers on the network are non-responsive, does that then hinder the blockchain transaction?
Yeah, that's a good question, because a lot of times there are computers on the network that are non-responsive. So no, it is a majority, and it's a super majority. So it varies over time because there's kind of like there's no response from these computers. Maybe there's, these computers are out there, but they're not responding. So it's a super majority, but once there is a majority coming back with the same number, then it will in fact go forward. And I saw a question just pop up that said, what if you lose that private key? Well, as I haven't had this happen to me, but I have had fellow partners of mine have lost the private key to some Bitcoin from very early on. And at that point, you literally lose the Bitcoin because there's no central figure to go to. That's another aspect of the blockchain and cryptocurrency and NFTs. There's no central issuing body that you can go to and say, hey, I screwed up and I lost my private key. What that effectively means if you lose the private key is that those Bitcoins are gone forever and forever. No one can ever get them back again. And if it happens with an NFT private key, then that NFT is gone forever. No one can ever get into it ever again.
We're getting a lot of questions, which I love, Mercedes. So I'll let you look at them and see which ones you want to answer and which ones you want to maybe we can follow up with answers if you want to move forward.
Okay, I'm just looking. Yeah, so if I said ERC 20, ERC 721 is another token standard. One of the aspects for the token standards for Ethereum, we'll get into a little bit more. We are looking at another token standard being developed with through Ethereum for very good reasons. And then I'm just taking a look. And then the process to solve the math equation. So basically, the software is run on computers around the world. You could download the blockchain software onto your computer and have it run in the background if you like. You could do that as an individual. Basically, as the request for a transaction goes out, the software then sends out the message to all of the computers running the software at that time. And it's the same math problem that gets sent out. Each computer uses its own computing ability to solve that math problem. It's typically fairly complicated, the kind of math problem a computer could solve quickly, but it would be harder for a human. And then those answers come back. And that is how we know that the transaction is valid.
And if you quickly want to cover what's the incentive for this network to validate NFT transactions?
Yeah, so so there's a couple of questions here. Why would you run the software? I mean, it's a great question. Could there come a day when everyone says, I don't want to run the software anymore? Sure. And if no one is running the Bitcoin software, no one is running Ethereum software, then effectively the cryptocurrency and all the NFTs are, just go away. That's effectively, that is true. And then there's a question about, is there a danger of this entire ecosystem tumbling down and every NFT becoming invalid or worth nothing? So I don't think so. The craze that is happening right now with NFTs is, it's a little crazy. The prices are high, higher than you would have thought. But the technology, non-fungible token technology, is really very interesting for a lot of reasons. We will get into this a little bit more, but one of the things that about non-fungible tokens that I think means that we're going to have the technology with us for a very long time is that for the first time since the internet, like literally, you can have a piece of data, right? An NFT, and it can't be copied. That NFT can't be copied. It is unique. It stays as it is. It can't be, downloaded and hacked into or whatever. It is a single piece of data, right? And that piece, that aspect of NFTs is something, like I said, that I do think means that non-fungible token technology will be with us for quite some time. But like I said, the craze, it is possible that, people begin to think NFTs are not quite as fun and prices go down, but I don't think that they'll become worthless or invalid. Okay, and NFTs get their worth by the marketplace. It's basic supply and demand. People are interested, so they buy them, and so the prices go up. So I did promise that we would talk about smart contracts a little bit. So smart contracts, as a lawyer, I kind of get angry with the title, the name smart contracts, because it, makes lawyers think that it means an actual contract. It doesn't. Smart contracts are simple if-then statements that are written in code. And so if a simple one would be, if I receive funds for my NFT, then the NFT changes hands, right? And moves down the blockchain. So simple if-then statements that are hard coded, they're computer code. There are typically several smart contracts included in an NFT. You can have custom smart contracts that are designed just for you. You can, if you go and mint at one of the public marketplaces like OpenSea or Rarible, then they've got standard smart contracts that you can't really, play with. But long story short, the smart contracts are part of what allows an NFT to change hands and to allow the royalty stream to come back to the extent that that's something that you want to do.
So a quick tip, if you're getting into this space, if you're a lawyer handling agreements in this space, when you start to negotiate an NFT deal, a partnership, or if you're an IP owner and you're going to license your IP into an NFT, keep this in mind that this is what the smart contract is, and you'll automatically look a little bit more savvy and intelligent. We've had deals, Mercedes and I have worked on, where I've asked what were the terms of the smart contract, and what I got back was a trademark license agreement. So this is a good thing to have in your knowledge base when you're starting to negotiate these. You need several different pieces to form that transaction, to license in IP or license out IP to be used in an NFT. And this is one important piece, but not the only one, and not a trademark license unto itself.
Indeed. And I just wanted to address one of the questions. Smart contracts are not going to replace contracts. Like they're not, because it's literally about telling a computer to cause things to occur when other things happen. So it's not going to replace contracts. And one of the challenges of blockchain transactions is what happens if there's a mistake, right? How do you fix that problem? It's not as difficult as it sounds, but you have to actually code in smart contracts that are the what if there was a mistake, because you can't go back on the blockchain, right? Like, so each move of the block down the blockchain, right? It's forever moved forward. It can never move back. But what you can do is continue moving forward, but amend the information that's in the block of data. So good questions. Good questions. All right.
All right, I've got one here that I'm going to go back and answer quickly regarding the $100,000 NFT watch. Thank you for that question, Channing. It was not an actual watch, it was an NFT. So it is only existing in its form as a digital asset, as part of that minted NFT that Mercedes explained. So I'm thinking your follow-up question might be, why would someone pay $100,000 for a watch that doesn't actually have an in real life version that you can wear on your wrist? And that's part of this marketplace that we want to discuss. There is a large marketplace for collectibles. There has been for quite some time. Some of it varies by different demographics, some by age, some by geography, some by industry. Luxury is one of those where people like to collect different types of sneakers, jewelry, perfume scents. And this is a way for a luxury brand to extend its reach and say, I've reached this scope of marketplace with my physical in real life luxury watches, but now I'm extending and thinking there might be others who aren't going to wear the watch around, but to them it's meaningful to have a digital closet where they have this watch available to them. And someone else had asked the question, can't you just take a screenshot of it and have the same thing? So it's a good question, and a lot of people have said that, and for some people it might be the same thing to have a screenshot of it versus the real actual NFT. And there are NFTs that people have paid a lot of money for like in the basketball moments, Top Shot space, where it's a video clip. And you can find that same video clip on YouTube. You could watch it on YouTube, but you don't actually have the collectible. Just like if you had the Honus Wagner baseball card, I might have a screenshot of it or a picture of it, but I don't have the original Honus Wagner baseball card. So my screenshot isn't valuable or rare or unique the same way that that Honus Wagner card is. And that's the analysis really for NFTs as well. I could take a screenshot of that $100,000 NFT watch and look at it the same way, but it's not valuable, unique, or rare, and I can't resell it the same way that someone could resell the NFT. So I want to briefly, I feel like we could have, Mercedes had probably 2 hours for this presentation and definitely filled it. And I'm so grateful for all the questions. Maybe we'll do a reprise if we don't get through all of our material. But I wanted to briefly just go over, make sure we're understanding what can you sell as an NFT. Here, just from the IP side, you really are licensing in digital assets that come from other assets that you own. So someone had asked movie clips, TV clips. Those can be licensed in to an NFT form. You could license, I've done, you know, an entire song, a piece of a film, a still from a film, or a television show. You have to make sure in all of these categories that you own or you have licensed and have the right to license the IP that's going into the NFT. We can't just take a screenshot of someone else's artwork and then put it into an NFT and sell it. That would be IP infringement. So that's a key issue, is making sure if you're doing an NFT deal that you have the correct IP licensor in place and that you are utilizing the IP that's going into it with permission. In the celebrity space and the right of publicity space, it gets a little bit fuzzier, but my recommendation would be to still have permission. I think there will be some interesting case law that we will see in the future as to whether, you know, this constitutes a transformative use. If creating an NFT can constitute a transformative use, I think you may not want to be the test case for that, what will probably be a very interesting legal discussion in a court case, and go ahead and make sure you have the rights of talent that are pictured in a photo in addition to the copyright from the photographer or other copyright owner. So these aren't necessarily unique to the luxury space, but when luxury brands are considering doing partnerships for NFTs, you know, you could consider collaborations, and we have some examples in the deck if we get to them about the video game space. LVMH has done some interesting things there. Gucci has done a video movie of its own, kind of a branded movie telling a brand story. So there are ways that you can expand into these spaces as well. Mercedes, I don't know if you want to briefly touch on this. This is kind of a new thing, but important for IP owners.
Yeah, so there are all sorts of NFT marketplaces, and there are new ones that come up every day. I think every day I hear, and I do a lot of work on NFTs, and every day I hear, oh, well, we're going to go use this marketplace. So there are lots of NFT marketplaces. So when you create NFTs and you are looking at your NFT strategy and you're thinking about where do you want to drop them, how do you want them to be sold, what kinds of rights do you want them to be sold with, right? Those are the questions that you're going to use to evaluate which NFT marketplace makes the most sense for you. So there are some NFT marketplaces that are focused truly on fine art NFTs, and you can only have one NFT that has the same content, and that's it. It has particularly good IP protection for the content creators, and smart contracts that allow multiple royalty streams, right? So again, the 3 questions for NFT marketplaces, you're going to be asking, you know, what is this the right fit for the kind of NFTs that I'm trying to sell? What are the bells and whistles, if any, in the smart contracts? And then what kind of IP protection does the marketplace provide for the content creators?
All right, so this is kind of a recap of what Mercedes already went over. But just to kind of pull it together, the key characteristics here of the NFT, you have the verifiable ownership of content, the rarity, the uniqueness, that's the non-fungibility, your potential royalty stream, which could be built in through the smart contract. Mercedes discussed the longevity through the blockchain technology, and then the community aspect. There is a growing, burgeoning community that is very interested in NFTs and actually coming around NFTs and building in real life experiences that arise out of NFTs. So there's an opportunity from a marketing and advertising standpoint to really reach a very excited demographic through NFTs, because they want to not only buy the NFTs and trade the NFTs, but have other experiences that relate to and kind of go alongside those NFTs.
Okay, so why is this all happening now? I don't know. People are bored. No, it is. There are lots of things about non-fungible token technology that are very interesting. It's a great way to engage with people and to create communities. So for the people that really get into NFTs and collecting them, they really feel a true kinship with the other people that are collecting with them. The marketplaces, like I said, are developing, all the time. So that is kind of spurring on the NFT craze. And NFTs kind of are on this cycle with cryptocurrency. So as NFTs become more prominent, cryptocurrency becomes more prominent, NFTs. So part of, as cryptocurrency grows in people's understanding and how it works, the interest in NFTs tends to go up and vice versa. COVID-19 was my, people are bored comment. There is a parallel surge of in real life collectibles, and many people, influencers of all sorts of different, types of backgrounds have found NFTs to be really, really interesting and are talking about them and evangelizing about them. And we even see, institutions like Christie's getting involved and supporting the NFT economy. So all of those, and of course the media loves to eat all of this up and report on it. So all of these things are point to why there is the NFT craze that we have right now.
So a couple of questions, Mercedes, maybe you and I can tag team on quickly and then we can move forward. Who administers royalties, and is the amount a negotiated deal point, or is there a standard? That's a really great question. The royalty stream is built in so that further sales are also, it's automatically going to be within the smart contract. And when those further sales take place on the blockchain, that usually Ethereum, but not always, we can talk about that, will be distributed back out. So this is a great way to have really a perpetual royalty stream. If you license your IP into an NFT, again, to answer another question at the same time, you're going to have a license of your IP to the creator of the NFT. That's a standard license agreement. And then there's going to be the smart contract that is built in that says who gets paid how much amount if this NFT is sold again in the future. And as long as people keep reselling that NFT, you'll continue to have the royalty stream coming in. I don't know, Mercedes, if you wanted to add anything else to that.
Nope.
Okay, great. Thank you for all these questions. This is excellent. So here's your CLE code before we run out of time to the presentation. And that CLE code is LB as in boy, T as in Tom, 28. And Anna, we had a question to put that in the chat. So if that's permitted, Anna, if you wouldn't mind putting the code in the chat, that'd be great. So I'm going to breeze through. Oh, go ahead, Mercedes.
So I wanted to talk on two small points. There's a question about how much ether do you need to mint an NFT? Very small amounts, but there's this kind of kicker that occurs with NFT transactions, particularly on the Ethereum blockchain. And that is there's a cost for the transfer of an NFT. And those costs are fractions of Ethereum, and that is referred to as gas costs. So you've got ether, and these are gas costs. The cost of gas, it goes up and down according to market demand, really, and how much the blockchain is being used. I had a time where I wanted to buy an NFT, and the NFT itself was $15, and I was like, okay, good, we're going to go do that. But the gas costs at that time were $85. So for me to buy a $15 NFT, I had to pay the equivalent of $100 in ether. So that is, not awesome. And that's one of the challenges with Ethereum blockchain-based NFTs. There are different ways of dealing with it. You can base your NFTs on a different kind of cryptocurrency altogether. There's something called second layer second layer transactions that avoid having the transaction occur on the blockchain itself, so you don't incur anywhere near as much gas costs. And then the Ethereum folks, the open source folks that work on Ethereum stuff, are developing an Ethereum token standard that is designed to minimize gas costs, but we don't expect that to be announced until 2022.
Great. Thank you, Mercedes. Okay, a couple more questions I see on the IP royalty side that I'll take. And we'll just acknowledge now that we're definitely not making it through all of our slides, but we're happy to share the deck and to have conversations further with anyone who's interested in what we don't get to cover today. One question here is, artists often have to waive resale royalties. Does this happen in the art NFT world? This is a great question because NFTs have actually been touted as pro artist and pro creator because they have this automatic continuing royalty stream that can come back to the artist. So it's actually a way for artists to continue to be compensated for their work. I'll give two caveats to that. The first is that unfortunately we've seen a lot of infringement in the NFT space where NFTs are being created by people taking screenshots of other artists' work or just not taking the time or having the volition to obtain a license in the first place. So that, of course, is not pro-artist. That's just a new form of infringement that we have to try to combat. And the other side of it is that someone asked earlier, is there a range, or a general standard of royalties in the space? We've seen that when the artist is the one who's the licensor, the royalties tend to be on the higher side, as opposed to if it's a brand that's creating a brand asset or licensing something that is already kind of in the advertising, merchandising space. So the community really has spoken to say that they are placing a higher value in terms of future sales royalties when the artists themselves are receiving those back, in case any of that is helpful. And then in terms of the Beeple collage, Mercedes, my understanding there, someone's asking were there claims of copyright infringement, understanding that that work was a collage. But my understanding is that that artist created a collage of his own prior work, and that represented, in fact, all of the work that Beeple had done to date in one collage. Yep. So there wasn't going to be an infringement claim there.
That's right.
Okay, so quickly wanted to go through, I've left these up, so maybe you've read them while we've been answering other questions, but kind of just reasons why brands, including luxury brands, would decide to create NFTs. I'm going to run through a few examples of each of these, just so you can get a sense of kind of what's going on. So creating brand awareness and at the same time raising money for important causes or foundations. This was Gucci's Aria NFT that they created, and they donated money to raise awareness and availability of the COVID vaccine. That was an important cause to that brand. Givenchy did a Pride celebration NFT, not necessarily a donation-based NFT, but really just brand awareness, wanting to be visible in the NFT community in support of Pride. I mentioned this earlier, Louis Vuitton has been active in the gamification space and created a branded game that you can navigate through and collect NFTs as you go through the game. We've seen a lot of collaboration in the NFT space, not just in the luxury space, but here's an interesting example where we had the Adidas and Karlie Kloss collaboration. They had digital designers design digital NFTs that kind of corresponded to a collection that had already been launched in the physical world. We've seen this go in both ways. Either something kind of starts out, is initiated in the physical world, and then it goes digital later in order to kind of push that physical branded product out into the digital space. Or there have even been companies that are coming through and designing, I'm skipping ahead here, like this company is designing in the digital space first. So they create digital garments, and then you might have an option at some point to get your digital NFT garment actually created in the physical world and sent to you. And this also occurs in gaming type NFT communities. You might collect a number of different NFTs, and if you get the right combination or a certain minimum number of NFTs, together they unlock kind of like a puzzle that then enables you to have a unique, again, rare, collectible physical garment sent to you that you can own in the physical world. Fashion shows have crossed over to the NFT space. There are collections. I showed you the Dolce & Gabbana collection that's being made in NFT form only. For some of these, you can opt to buy the NFT, or you can try to order the actual element. And then I mentioned experiential. This is a big part of the NFT community, and really having experiences where you can engage with a brand in this space. And you can think of this the same way from a marketing or advertising standpoint. You're interested in connecting with your consumer, keeping customers loyal, creating new ways for them to engage with and interact with your brand. NFTs are another way that you can do that. I do want to spend a little time talking about authenticity. I know for luxury brands in particular, identifying counterfeits, keeping new counterfeits from popping up, making sure that items are authenticated is top of mind. So we have, the blockchain has been touted as a way to really elevate the authenticity of an item. And Mercedes explained a little bit of that from the technological standpoint. I don't know, Mercedes, if you wanted to say anything further, but I know we've had here, for example, this whiskey is available in NFT form in addition. And actually what they did was they went back and pulled a vintage that was very rare at the time that it was issued in physical form. And you can now have that as an NFT as well, and the bottle is stored for you. So if you decide that you want to sell your NFT of your Glenfiddich whiskey, very rare whiskey, the bottle will be transferred for you. So it actually is a way to keep the rare physical item more secure through the NFT, but you can still kind of show off the NFT to your other whiskey collector friends. So Mercedes, I don't know if you wanted to kind of give any sense of comfort as to why this technology helps in kind of preventing counterfeits or identifying the physical item that accompanies the NFT, which I think is top of mind.
Yeah. So basically, again, the transactions that occur with NFTs are very, they're as secure as you can get with any kind of digital transaction. So when someone has, so in this case, if someone has a bottle of this rare whiskey, right? But they don't have the NFT to show that they, to go along with it, then that demonstrates potentially that they stole that bottle, right, of whiskey, that they came into it, or that whiskey that they have is not the real deal. So the tying of those two things can be that strong to the extent that that's useful.
And for this one, the way that they set this one up in particular, once you resell it, that NFT is burned. So it can't be reused. There would have to be then a new NFT created. Is that right, Mercedes? In order for the subsequent purchaser to then resell. So each person who is in the resale chain has in fact a unique NFT that accompanies it. The physical
That's right.
item remains constant.
That's right.
So I guess what would the reverse situation be? If someone has the NFT, how do you know that the physical item that they have is also real, right? If they can prove the NFT
Yeah.
is real, but not the physical item, I think
Well,
that's
there's all sorts of different things to do with that, right? Like you could have a smart contract in the NFT that has like a QR code in it that would correspond with the QR code that's on the bottle, right? There's like all sorts of things like that that you can do to tie the physical into the NFT potentially.
right. Okay. So I know that I'm just checking. I think we got some questions about that. I was trying to preemptively understand. This is one of the technologies that Nike had worked on. They actually have a patent, or at least a patent pending for this, to try to kind of counteract the counterfeiting issue. The claim is that this technology will make selling fake Nikes almost impossible. I think that remains to be seen. Hope that's a great technology and innovation from a luxury company standpoint if that's available. And the other benefit from Nike's standpoint here is that they can participate in the resale market. And that's also been top of mind for a lot of luxury brands. You know, when you see, for example, expensive luxury handbags or jewelry or other items being resold on resale marketplaces that have become very popular in the last years, how does the brand participate? So if you have an NFT that is sold alongside your in real life good, and the smart contract, maintains that resale royalties will be shared back to the brand, then that is a way that even if that expensive good is sold on a resale market, that the brand would still continue to receive a participation in that sale, as long as you have to be careful, because if the royalty is too high, then you could inhibit a resale and inhibit the marketplace from wanting to kind of feel like they're double paying in essence for that item.
So I wanted to hit on a question that seems to be coming up in several different places, and that is like, so what if somebody, and this is the example, there are 10 copies of a certain NFT, and then what stops the creator from then minting thousands of new versions of that NFT later on? It's an excellent question. So practically speaking, there is nothing that prevents that, right? There's nothing that prevents that. However, here's the challenge with having thousands of NFTs that are exactly the same. So some of the legal issues that come up around cryptocurrency, some of the tricky ones are related to securities laws and securities and commodities laws. Okay, so those same types of questions come up regarding NFTs as well. So if you have thousands upon thousands of NFTs with the exact same content, and then the marketplace begins to use those NFTs like a cryptocurrency. So it becomes, they are not non-fungible, they are fungible, and they can be traded back and forth for, to increase value for whatever reason. Then it becomes something that is not a non-fungible token. It's not a collectible. It becomes something else and potentially borders into becoming a commodity or a security. And for that reason, when we work with NFT creators, we are constantly advising, keep those numbers low, keep the numbers low, have limited runs so that you don't end up being in the situation where you've sold, thousands of NFTs that look exactly the same, that function exactly the same. And now you should have sold them as a securities offering or a commodities offering. And those penalties are pretty terrible under the law. So that is the reason I believe that a lot of NFT creators are not going there. But again, practically speaking, there's nothing to stop them from doing it if they, decide to.
Right. So I think keeping in mind that an NFT can be conceived of similarly to another piece of collectible merchandise or a rare issuance, a drop of a certain limited number of product is a good way to just kind of have a rule of thumb. And then if you want to be doubly safe, maybe don't venture into creating your own NFT marketplace at this time and go through one of the established marketplaces. And we're happy to give guidance on which marketplace might be the right fit for you, depending on which attributes you're looking for. We kind of skimmed over it, but the different NFT marketplaces have different terms of use and different benefits. Some are very pro artist, some have ability for you to submit copyright infringement and takedown notifications, others don't. So we're happy to advise on that if you reach out to us separately, but you're more protected from the securities issue if you're selling, if you have a contract with like a Terra Virtua or a Makerspace, and they're the ones that are actually selling it. So then we just would guide you in your marketing language as you're advertising it to make sure that you're not kind of crossing over a line. Mercedes, I think we have a few minutes left, 3 minutes to be precise. This is a question that had come up in advance from people who had signed up for this presentation and wanted to kind of talk about this. So I wanted to make sure we touched on this before our time is up.
Yeah, so bad actors purchasing your brand's NFTs. So this is, it is a potential concern because it could be resold. And then the royalty that comes to the brand would be based on money laundering funds or terrorist financing funds, whatever. So that is, potentially, a concern to think about. So how can you prevent that? Having customized smart contracts that control future purchases so that the future purchases are by individuals who have crypto wallets that have been clearly gone through a know your customer kind of process and evaluated. And then, but more importantly and more effectively, truly selling NFTs only on platforms that police and monitor for those particular kinds of issues. So that piece of it is something that is developing, and all of what is happening in the NFT world, it's very much happening as each day goes by. Something new happens and we learn from it. So that aspect of NFT sales is something that I do expect to see more developments on, but for now, those are the recommendations.
Great, and we'll leave you with this slide, not to end on an ominous note, but here are some of the ways that we've seen people, unfortunately, been taken advantage of in the NFT space. So, the blockchain is very secure and it verifies transactions, but it doesn't prevent theft. That's not what's inherent in the technology. So NFT wallets have been hacked. So you do need to bear in mind if you're going to start selling NFTs or buying NFTs that you need to make sure that where you have your NFT wallet, you're practicing good general cybersecurity with your NFT wallet. Counterfeit NFTs, meaning that, as I mentioned earlier, there was no permission from the artist of the underlying asset, the creator of the asset. This is something where someone just took IP that they don't own and put it in an NFT. What's called the pump and dump. So here, certain groups will artificially inflate the demand and the price of NFTs will go up, and that group will purchase the NFTs at the high price and then all of a sudden flood the marketplace, and others who own similar NFTs will then see theirs devalued. So that's a practice that we're trying to avoid. And then social media scams, as with anything, I'm sure all of you are familiar with the scams that go on social. So that's in the NFT space as well. And then just be wary if you're buying NFTs that you know the URL and have some way to verify that those are actually, being sold, and that you're not going to get something in return for your payment of your Ethereum that is not the NFT that you thought you were buying. So with that, we're going to say goodbye for now, but we hope that you'll contact us if you have any questions. We'd love to chat with you further. Mercedes and I partner on these deals on a weekly basis these days, so we're happy to be a resource, and thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you.